Los Angeles, January 1947. The war was over, the movie lights were bright again, and Hollywood was selling dreams to anyone brave enough to chase them. But on the morning of January 15, in a quiet, undeveloped section of Los Angeles, a woman walking with her young child noticed something in a vacant lot. At first, it did not look real. The silence of that empty ground would soon be broken by police cars, reporters, flashbulbs, and whispers that moved faster than facts. The young woman was identified as Elizabeth Short, a 22-year-old woman from Massachusetts who had come west, like many others, hoping life in California might open a door. The press would soon give her a name that would bury the real woman beneath the legend, the Black Dahlia. But before the nickname, before the rumors, before decades of theories, there was Elizabeth. And there was a question Los Angeles still has not answered. Who killed her? Elizabeth Short was born in Massachusetts in 1924. By the mid-1940s, she was part of the restless movement of young people drifting through post-war America. Los Angeles was full of soldiers returning home, nightclubs glowing after dark, boarding houses, diners, bus stations, cheap rooms, and people trying to turn uncertainty into a future. The city was changing fast. Hollywood had become a symbol of glamour, but away from the studio gates, life could be unstable and lonely. Young women arrived with hopes of acting, modeling, work, marriage, or simply reinvention. Some found opportunity. Others found a city that could be cold beneath the neon. Elizabeth Short was often described later as a Hollywood hopeful, though records do not show that she had any acting credits. That matters, because the legend has often turned her into something more dramatic, or something less human, than the historical record supports. She was not a character in a crime novel. She was a daughter, a sister, a young woman trying to live. In the days before her death, Elizabeth had been seen in Southern California. One of the last known people to have spent time with her was Robert "Red" Manley, a married salesman who later told investigators he had dropped her off in downtown Los Angeles. He was investigated, as were many others, but he was not charged. In a case like this, careful wording matters. Being questioned is not the same as being guilty. On January 15, 1947, Elizabeth Short's body was discovered in Los Angeles. The details shocked the public and overwhelmed the city's newspapers. But the most important fact for this story is not the horror of the scene. It is what happened next. Investigators had a young woman with no identification at the scene. To identify her, authorities used fingerprints. According to the FBI, Elizabeth's prints were already in its large fingerprint collection because she had previously applied for work at an Army commissary in California. That fingerprint match helped give the victim back her name. Once her name became public, the case exploded. Reporters crowded around police sources. Newspapers competed for details. Rumors grew. The nickname Black Dahlia began to dominate the story. The FBI says the press connected the name to her rumored preference for black clothing and to the film title The Blue Dahlia, which was current at the time. The nickname was memorable. That was the problem. It made the case famous, but it also made Elizabeth easier to turn into a symbol, a headline, a mystery girl, a Hollywood ghost. The Los Angeles Police Department led the investigation, with assistance from the FBI. Investigators followed leads, examined statements, checked people who knew Elizabeth, and tried to separate truth from the growing storm of false claims. FBI records released through the vault described the Bureau's assistance to Lapt during 1947 and 1948. The case drew attention because it seemed to expose two cities at once. There was the Los Angeles shown in postcards: palm trees, movie palaces, sunshine, studio lots, and pretty faces under electric signs. And then there was the other Los Angeles: vacant lots, lonely rooms, dangerous strangers, press pressure, and a police department trying to solve a case while the whole country watched. As the investigation widened, police dealt with a flood of tips. Some came from people trying to help. Others came from people chasing attention. Over time, many people falsely confessed or claimed to know more than they did. In famous unsolved cases, false confession becomes its own fog. It wastes time, distorts public memory, and can make a real trail harder to see. Several people were investigated. Some were cleared. Some remained part of later theories. But no one was convicted. No trial gave the public a final answer. No courtroom verdict closed the wound. This is why the Black Dahlia case is so dangerous for storytellers. It tempts people to solve what the legal record did not solve. It tempts people to turn suspicion into certainty. But the honest version is colder and maybe more haunting. Elizabeth Short was killed, investigators searched, the case became a national obsession, and the person responsible was never legally identified. The press played a powerful role. Newspapers did not simply report the case, they helped shape how people imagined Elizabeth. Some reports exaggerated, moralized, or suggested details about her life that later researchers have challenged. The result was a second injury. The victim's identity became buried beneath speculation. Her mother, her sisters, and those who knew her were left not only with grief but with the public rewriting of Elizabeth's life. That part is easy to miss. A true crime case is not only about clues. It is also about memory. Who gets remembered as a full person? Who gets flattened into a headline? Who benefits when a victim becomes a legend? In the years after 1947, the Black Dahlia case became one of the most famous unsolved murders in American history. Books, documentaries, films, essays, and amateur investigations kept returning to it. Some focused on suspects, some focused on police errors, some focused on the culture of Los Angeles after World War II. Others focused on how the media treated Elizabeth Short. The FBI's historical summary states plainly that the murderer was never found, and that after so many decades, the case will probably never be solved. That does not mean the case disappeared. It became part of Los Angeles itself. A city built on images had created one of the most enduring images in American crime history. A young woman whose real life was smaller, harder, and more human than the myth that followed her. There are no easy lessons here, only uncomfortable ones. A young woman came to California at a time when the country was trying to imagine a brighter future after war. She moved through a city of bus depots, hotels, nightclubs, diners, and strangers. Then she was found dead in a vacant lot, and the world became obsessed with the mystery. But the mystery should never be allowed to erase the victim. Her name was Elizabeth Short. She was 22 years old. And somewhere inside the files, the photographs, the newspaper pages, and the unanswered questions, Los Angeles is still holding its breath. The Black Dahlia case remains officially unsolved. The headlines gave her a name that history remembers. But the truth still owes Elizabeth Short something more.